Hello and welcome to this match preview for Southampton against Birmingham City. Now obviously, because it was a midweek game against Preston, we're going to talk about Preston first. Obviously we drew 2-2 with a late goal, basically Bazunu's goal, but it wasn't. It was an own goal in the 96th minute to rescue a point for us. So we'll talk about that now, then we'll move on to Birmingham a little bit later. But kicking it off with the review against Preston, we were shit. We were not good at all. Far from good. I've seen much better this season from us. Going into the game, obviously Preston out of form, not doing very well in the last few games. But they had a good start for a reason. So they're clearly not a bad team. And I think that's the weird thing about some people's ideas. They see us playing against the team that's not 1-5 or not 1-6 or whatever it is, and instantly think we should beat them. They're shit. We should beat them. That's not how football works. I mean, the same against Middlesbrough. They were, I don't know if they were last, but they were sort of like bottom four maybe. But they got playoffs last year. Clearly, they're not a shit team. They've just had a bad start. And now look at them. I think they've won like 6 in a row or some shit. So it's not as if like you can base a game like that on, oh, they're out of form, we should win. They're above us in the table to start the day. So technically, they're better than us. So that's the sort of mentality you have to come. So I came in with this going, a draw would be a good result. And obviously, the way it sort of played out, I'd take a draw because we were shit. Obviously, we can talk about the lineup quickly. Now, obviously, clearly Harwood Bellairs wasn't fit or injured or something. I didn't know that, but clearly he was. Manning was suspended, so that's 2 of our starting back 4 gone. So this is where I'm a bit confused as to why people go, this is a shit lineup. Stevens is injured. Harwood Bellairs is out with an injury or fitness, whatever it is. You have to play Holgate. Manning's out. You have to play Walker-Peters. So who's your other option? Well, Holgate's playing centre back. Larios is injured and barely ever involved. It has to be Burry. Like, it's not rocket science, right? We had 2 players out. We have Stevens out. So you have to bring in 2 players that play those positions. And we did that. They might not be good. That's not the point. We don't have our starting players, so we have to bring in other players. So I don't get the point of this lineup shit. It's like, what are you supposed to do? Who's going to play left back? Who's going to play centre back? I'd love to know. Just chuck some random youngster in, because that's a genius idea. And then moving on to the midfield, he did what I kind of wanted, which is play Charles and Downs together, but then he played Smallbone. And if you look at that free on paper, Charles, Downs, Smallbone, you've got 2 defensive mids, you've got like a 6, maybe an 8. Not much creativity. I mean, Smallbone's not known to be very creative, neither is Downs or Charles. So there was a complete lack of creativity in that midfield three, and that's where obviously I would have wanted. Alcaraz sort of had the 2 defensive mids, Downs and Charles, and then have Alcaraz sort of allowed to free roam with those 2 sort of controlling the game. So that was a main issue for us, was obviously our midfield three, no creativity or anything like that. And in the front three, I'm not a fan of Adams and Adam Armstrong playing together. Obviously, Adams, a lot of question marks about him, why he's not playing well, you know, whether it's he wants to leave or doesn't fit the system or whatever. He went off injured at half time. But I just don't like Adam Armstrong and another striker playing. I just don't think it works. Maybe it'll work with Ross Stewart, who knows? But with Mara coming off the bench, he was useless. Adams, he was useless. Adam Armstrong was a ghost the game. Edozie, I mean, he got marked a lot. Honestly, majority of the game. And then obviously Sulemana came on. Sulemana added a bit of flair to the game, a bit of pace, a bit of energy. But again, there's no one in the box. So I have to say, not a fan. The only criticisms I could say is not a fan of that midfield three. Needed Alcaraz in there. Whether it's fitness reasons he wasn't playing, okay, fair enough. And then the front three, I'm not a fan of Adams and Adam Armstrong playing together. I much prefer the 2 natural wingers, and then if you play Adams or you play Adam Armstrong, you play them through the centre. So that's really my critique of the team. I'm not going to critique it like crazy, because at the end of the day, rotations needed. There's fitness concerns, obviously suspensions. Those changes have to be made. I mean, Edozie for Sulemana isn't that big of a deal, because Edozie is basically the same player, but just not as good. But he's still good, if you know what I mean. Like, Sulemana is just too good a lot of the time. So, yeah, that was my critique of the lineup. Very minor. Obviously, you can't play your best team every week, even though everyone thinks you can. You just can't. I mean, we've just travelled away to Hull, and then we've travelled away again 3 days later, and you just want to play the same team. I mean, fair enough. But overall, very lucky this game. Very lucky with the late goal. I mean, Preston also should have had an absolute stonewall penalty, even though apparently it shouldn't have been a penalty by some people. I mean, he's handballed it quite literally on the line. I know there's the rule about deflections, and if it deflects off your thigh and hits your hand and all this dumb shit, it's not a penalty. He's quite literally on the line. I don't know if the ball's going in. I didn't see many replays. I don't know if the ball's actually like going in and it's hit his hand and gone out. But regardless, he's handballed it on the line. So for me, it's stonewall, clear as day penalty. I didn't see it in real time, to be fair. I only saw a replay, so I understand why the ref missed it. But if there was VAR in this league, would 100% been given. But yeah, very lucky. Preston with a better team, defensively very secure. I mean, 72% possession for us basically summed it up. We have 3 midfielders who aren't creative. Yes, they can play the ball around, tiki-taka, just pass it or whatever, but there was no threat. We didn't have any Alcaraz or Stuart Armstrong to really be able to link the midfield and attack. Didn't have Sulemana to attack. Adam Armstrong was a ghost. Adams was a ghost. Mara was a ghost. It was just arse, to be honest. It was just arse. Not enough movement up front, and then not enough connection from the midfield to the attack. And then obviously don't get me started on defensive transitions, because it's said every week we can't defend transitions. It's common knowledge. One day maybe we will, but you'd think even with 2 defensive mids, you'd manage to be a bit more defensively secure on the transition. Not the case. But yeah, Preston played well. Defensively very secure. You can sort of compare the teams. Preston clearly well drilled and well structured. Us, I think we're well drilled, but not well structured. And then it's sort of like you can see the difference in defensive security, right? We barely created against Preston, but Preston easily created against us. So yeah, that's basically the review. Lucky point, but we'll take a point. That's 5 unbeaten. It's always good to sort of get results regardless of whether you're playing well or not. You know, if you're, it's like that, what they say about like, oh, that's a performance of champions where you played shit, but you still win, or you still get a draw, or whatever it is. So it's sort of that sort of thing of, yes, we played shit, but we still got something, right? We still got something, so you got to take that. But yeah, not the greatest performance at all in the slightest. It was arse. Okay, now moving on to Birmingham at St Mary's. First home game in 3 weeks, which is actually a very long time. So obviously Birmingham at home. Now Birmingham, I mean, they were doing pretty decent. If I whip up the tables here, they should slide up. They're sitting 12th. I don't know what the expectations are for Birmingham. I know they got taken over by like Tom Brady's involved or some shit. I don't know what the aspirations are for this season. Maybe it's a mid-table, maybe it's a playoff, I'm not sure. But they were doing decent. And now Wayne Rooney's in. And I'm just going to, my opinion's my opinion. Whether you agree with it or not is your choice. Wayne Rooney's a shit coach. I'll just say it. I don't rate him in the slightest at all, ever. Not once. I don't think he's good. I don't know who was coaching Birmingham before. I wouldn't have a clue. But obviously the results were decent. But to sack a manager who's doing okay, I thought, I mean, I'm not involved in Birmingham, but from the outside, I thought he was doing an okay job. For him to get sacked and then to hire someone who I don't rate, which is obviously personal opinion, and then for him to start off by losing his first 2 games, I think as a Birmingham fan, you must be pretty annoyed, right? That the club's gone, hold on, we need someone more high profile. And I disagree with that. You don't need high profile coaches or high profile players to push a team. What you need is a team that works together. We need the individuals that are going to die for the manager. And you need a manager who just is good. And I don't rate Wayne Rooney. I don't. If you didn't know that already, I don't rate him. So yeah, that's interesting to see why they've gone for him when they were doing decent. But obviously, I'm looking from an outside perspective. I don't know the ins and outs of the club or whatever. But I mean, I guess if you are a Birmingham fan watching this, you can tell me whether I'm a fuckwit or not. But basically, yeah, I don't rate Wayne Rooney. Obviously, Birmingham sitting 12th. We move up to 5th. Only 1 point off 3rd. I mean, we weren't finishing top 10 4 weeks ago because we were shit, and now we're 5th. That's sort of how quickly the reactions change from certain people in the fan base. I mean, it is unreal that people after the Rotherham game would think we're not going to get top 10. I don't personally think, when it comes to promotion, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether we get promoted. It's hit or go, hit or miss. Fucking, I can't. I forget all the phrases. Hit or miss. I think we'll get playoffs. Whether we'll get out of playoffs and get promoted is a different question. But I think top 6 we will get. But I am a little bit concerned because it's like you can sit on both sides of the coin. We're getting results, but playing shit. But we're playing shit. Right? So it's sort of like, is our team just naturally better that we're playing bad but still getting results? Or is it because the opposition have not taken their chances, we've got a bit lucky, and when we do come across a team like Sunderland, like Leicester City, we're going to get spanked, right? So that's my concern. But obviously, away from home, we're a different team. I think you can see that pretty obviously. Our last 2 games at home were Leeds and Rotherham, and we dominated. Then our last 3 away games were Stoke, Hull, and Preston. Weren't the greatest. I think Stoke, we dominated them more than the other 2, but honestly weren't the greatest performances, any of them. So it's a little bit concerning, but again, 5 unbeaten, 3 wins out of 5, 2 draws, a lot of late goals. And I said this in my reaction. There's a reaction. Maybe I put it at the start. I don't know. I can't remember. So basically, what I said in the reaction is, you have to praise something about us. And what you can praise about us is that we have belief even in the 90th minute, even 95th minute to get a goal. We've scored a lot of late goals, a lot of goals that have given us points in the late stages of the game. So you have to praise that, but a part of me just wants to not be in that position, not need the 96th minute goal to equalise, not need the 95th minute goal to win, you know? So we'll see how we go against Birmingham. Obviously, personal opinion, Birmingham, a bit of turmoil, change of manager, could be a bit dodgy, 2 losses in a row, coming to St Mary's. I'm feeling decently confident in this game, in terms of the entire season, a bit different, but in this game I'm feeling a bit confident. But let's get onto preferred lineup. I'm going to assume Howard Bellas is fit. I haven't heard he's injured. Maybe it could have just been a fitness thing, or maybe he was slightly tight or something like that, and a little knock. I'm not sure, but I'm going to assume he's fit, so I'm going to add him in. So we're going to start off, obviously, Gavin Bazunu was basically the reason we scored in the 96th minute. His presence created that goal. He didn't score it himself, but he created it with his presence. Right back, obviously, Kyle Walker-Peters got a brilliant goal. He's a brilliant player. He's by far our best player this season. I mean, I'm surprised a lot of Premier League teams didn't grab him. I mean, he would have been 15, 20 mil, and that's a bargain for him. Unbelievable how he's in the Championship. He's way too good for the Championship. Centre-back pairings, obviously, going to go Yanni B and Howard Bellas, who I hope is fit. I don't know about Stevens. I don't know how far he's away, but Stevens would probably slot in there. Maybe instead of Bednarek. I'm not sure how those 3, what the best pairing is. Obviously, Stevens will play because he's captain, but it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, those 2 pairings at centre-back. Manning obviously back from suspension at left-back. I don't think Bree was that great, but I didn't think he was that awful. He was just sort of, there. Midfield now. At home, I'm in the mentality of being at home, play more positive, play more aggressive, play higher press, more energy, blah, 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 higher tempo. So I would not do Charles and Downs together. Charles did not have a good game against Preston. But I would not do them together. That was only an idea for a difficult away games. So those 2, no. It'd be Downs in midfield, obviously starting defensive mid. Kind of have to play small bone. You kind of do. To sort of be the connection between the defensive side and the midfield side. And then Alcaraz is the midfield side to the attacking side. So obviously Alcaraz has to start. No-brainer. I think he is a little bit overrated by the fan base. He's not as good as everyone thinks. Like, he's not like some fucking messiah. He's got bags of potential. He's definitely got the talent. But he definitely has some issues with his game. Sometimes gives the ball away very, very cheaply. Sometimes not smart in his positioning. But that's all shit you just train, right? It's all shit you train as you get older, more experienced, right? So he's got the talent, and he's quite clearly our best attacking midfielder. I mean, that's no doubt. So he has to play. Front three wise, Suleiman obviously on the left, no-brainer again. Edozie, I feel bad for him. He got kind of marked out of the game for a lot of the time against Preston, but Suleiman has to play. He just has an impact regardless of who we're playing against. So he has to play. Right wing, I think Stuart Armstrong comes back in. I don't know why he wouldn't. I think Fraser has made decent impacts off the bench, and I would have preferred Fraser to start against Preston over Adams and Adam Armstrong playing together. As I said before, I prefer a natural winger and winger. What a concept. But yeah, so I'd go Stuart Armstrong, and if he's not fit, Ryan Fraser. And then up front, I think you honestly have to have Adam Armstrong. I don't think there's a choice. As I've said multiple times, I think Chadams is a better striker, but Adam Armstrong, I think he fits the system better. Maybe Ross Stewart maybe fit next game or the game after or the game after that. Who knows? Because I want to see him play. I want to see how he does, because Mara off the bench is useless. Again, I mean, he's a cult legend on this channel, but he's shit. I'm sorry. He has the potential, but I don't know what's wrong with him. It's either we can't fit him in the team, or he's just not comfortable in England, or what it is. I'm not sure, but he just feels lazy. Whoa! I felt like I was speaking like fucking Tyson Fury. He just seems lazy on the ball, just too composed, if you know what I mean. Where it's like, oh, I'm going to take this touch because I'm good, and it's like, well, believe it or not, you're just going to get tackled, And then obviously Che Adams, his head's in the clouds or something. I don't know what's wrong with him. But yeah, so Adam Armstrong will have to play. So that'll be the team. I mean, I think if you were to ask people on Twitter or Facebook, whatever it is, what's your starting 11, I think everyone would say that starting 11. I doubt there would be many changes. So yeah, that's 11. Moving on to predictions. Obviously 5 unbeaten. Only really 2 good performances out of that. And then Birmingham, new manager, dodgy situation. I'm going to back us. I think we win this game. Obviously no clean sheet. It's not possible. I'll go 3-1 to us. That's me just backing the boys, to be honest. 3-1. I think from what I've seen in our last 2 home performances, we can play really good stuff. Away from home, we're just weird. We're not the same team. We play so much different, and it just doesn't feel the same, which is understandable. Away from home, you want to be more cautious, more defensively sound, but we're not. So I don't know. At home, I think we'll be more positive, more aggressive, like we sort of were against Leeds and Rotherham. I think we'll really be on the front foot early. So I'll go for 3-1. See what happens. Hopefully we can go 6 unbeaten, 4 wins and 6 would be great. Maybe move up to 3rd or something, depending on results. But that's going to be the video. Let me know your team sheet that you want to see, or the predictions you have. And let's hope we get 3 points, because I would love that. But I'll see you boys then. Obviously, I'll be watching it nice, fucking idiot. Doing a watch along. There'll be a community post with predictions if I ever put it up, if I remember. But I'll see you boys in the next video. Like, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.